Hello, hello.
Hello.
Can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Hold
there
on.
you go. Now I can hear you.
Oh, got it. Okay, great.
There, the whole gang's here. Can't hear you, Todd and Jackie. I can't hear you.
Check.
Go ahead
One,
and talk
two,
again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay.
1, 2, 3. No?
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
there you go. I can hear you now. Okay.
What happened to Rebecca?
He's coming in just a second here.
We lost someone in the vortex. Oh, there she is.
Oh no!
In the in-between.
You are muted.
Let there be voice. There she is.
There you go.
Oh. Oh, oops. Okay, I won't do that. No singing here.
Oh, Rebecca sings.
I could hear that. I could hear her nice, beautiful tone.
How much time we got, Cam?
I'll take off my glasses.
2.5
They're so
minutes.
shiny.
Okay, I'm going to grab some water.
Okay.
Maybe we should bring my dog Martin in as a
guest.
fourth co-host. No, as a third co-host.
There we go. Does he just hang out? Will he just like hang out at your feet or yeah.
No, he's not that good of a dog.
Oh, okay. He's one of those ones that will
I used to have dogs like that. But you know, when you rescue dogs, you never know what you're going to get.
Right.
Actually, when you adopt a dog, you really never know what you're going to get either.
Hey, when you have a dog, I mean, a kid, you never know what you're going to get.
Right.
Like a box of chocolates.
Exactly. Yep. That's why you got to stick your thumb in the bottoms to see.
Also might have been like,
Is it nougat?
Are you guys talking about animals?
Yeah, and chocolate.
And
Don't
chocolate.
ask. We got there. It happened quickly.
I have 3 new additions to my critter world, and they are just hilarious. I have 3 chickens. I raised them from little baby chickens.
Oh, I was thinking about chickens when I woke up this morning about having chickens in our backyard and how they would like the trampoline and then also our dog. And I was thinking, probably not. I don't
They're
think.
hilarious. Oh, my dogs coexist with them. Well, I had to separate them because dogs have this innate ability to like to wear perfume,
All right, stand by. Here we go.
i.e. chicken.
My chicken.
TEDx Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Ping.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to Life Mastery with Todd Allen, the talk radio show that dives into the science of higher consciousness. Join Todd and his guests weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific Time and learn how to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. Enjoy a survey of inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. It's all right here. Leading authors, speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs with stories and messages to support your well-being, let alone your most evocative dreams.
Hey, I guess I'm supposed to start this thing now. This is kind of weird. This is the second week that we've done this whole video thing. I'm coming up in the world, and it's kind of strange to watch myself and do this at the same time. So at least I have a nice shirt on today. I'm sitting up straight. I got my makeup on. And when I got up this morning, I made this a groovy day. So I hope that you make it a groovy day too. We have some special guests and some special co-hosts. But before we get started, I always like to get myself centered and situated, and maybe close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, and really, really get consciously aware and connected to the all, to God, to the universe, whatever it is that you believe. If you want to connect to that tree out there, that would work for me. So just consciously really get connected to that which gives you power. And let's take in a deep breath. And let that breath out with a big ah. And just let your essence flow from your solar plexus up through your heart center and right out of your speaker box. Let's do that one more time. And this time, really get focused and clear and think about what you're grateful for. What is it? Think of a couple of things that you're just really grateful for. There's great power in gratitude. Let's take in another deep breath. And again, let that essence and that gratitude just flow right out of your speaker box. Look at that. Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah.
And now we're all connected. We're all ready to go. I have Jackie. Jackie, wave.
Hi.
There's Jackie Bailey. Jackie Bailey is a good friend of mine, and she has a little scooter. How's that going, Jackie?
Oh, this is a challenge. So last December I broke my foot. I have an osteochondral defect and a tear of the ligament in my left ankle. That means that I broke off some of the cartilage and the bone in the joint between my leg bone and my foot bone. And I thought it was just a badly twisted ankle and it was going to heal up. So I waited and waited and waited.
And waited.
4 months later, when the swelling still really hadn't gone down, I said, maybe I should have this go checked out. So it ended up being this osteochondral defect and a tear of the ligament, and the ankle was completely unstable, which actually made it easier for the surgeon to get in there into the joint and repair it. And then so they had 2 incisions on the top of my foot arthroscopically to repair the joint, the cartilage and bone. And then he had to open the side of my left foot to get to the tendons and pull them back over and put them back in place. So I'm hobbling around on one leg. It's non-weight bearing for 3 weeks. So 2 more weeks from tomorrow. And I'm using a scooter and a crutch and crutches. And it's a real drag. I never was grateful for having 2 legs.
And thank goodness for social media too, because you can go and get a daily photograph of her healing.
You know what? One day this week, we got my husband's left foot in there.
I know, I saw that. And
so many people didn't get it. A lot of people commented, "Oh my gosh, what happened?" His foot is like Bigfoot compared to mine, and it's pretty obvious. But a lot of people didn't get it. So it was just
lacking the stitches. There was no stitches in that foot. But
are you going to do a video montage with those photos from the start to finish of the healing?
I don't know. I've been posting some of them on my blog. So if anybody wants to hear more of the gory details, they can go to my blog, read a little bit more about that. But what I do need to make a video of trying to get out of my house into my car, because it takes me about 10 minutes. There's 2 tiny little steps, which is actually how I twisted my foot in the first place, is stepping off one of those steps. From
when you do that, speed up the video really fast and make it instead of 2 minutes long, 1 minute long. Now that would be
time. And then you have to have the Benny Hill music going.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
And there's Rebecca. She's about ready to take this big swig of coffee. Hi, Rebecca. Wave at everybody so they know who you are. There's Rebecca. And Rebecca, what's going on in Rebecca land? You know what? I want to hear about Skagit Media. I want to hear a little bit. I want to hear that elevator speech for Skagit Media.
Well, I have clients mostly in Skagit County. Actually, all of them are in Skagit County. I don't promote myself outside of Skagit County, and inside Skagit County, we're the only ones that know how to pronounce Skagit anyway. And clients hire me for headshots, photography, staff photos. I do videos, and then I have a number of clients where I develop their website, maintain their social media. I'm basically their marketing and PR person, but not on staff. I'm on contract instead. And I have one client, for example, where I've been working every week, every month for 6 years. So I become part of the family, the company, but technically I'm not an employee.
So I learned something new every day. You're not a virtual entrepreneur. You just do local businesses.
Pretty
Is that
much
right?
local. Yeah. I mean, there are companies that hire me, and I've done work for companies in New York and Florida and Los Angeles, but those are one-offs. And I don't, when an opportunity comes my way, I determine if it fits for me, and that what I enjoy doing has evolved over the years. I'm transitioning this year into, and I felt this calling stronger and stronger over the last few years into speaking. Next week, I'll do my first 30-minute gig at a 40th anniversary for an organization here. It's in the construction industry, the Skagit Island Builders Contractors Association. I was involved in their 35th, but not as a speaker, just as a video producer. And so I have a very interactive, I like when I'm doing things like that. I like it very, very interactive. And, that's one of the things it's easier to prepare for a 5 to 7 minute speech. It's harder, I think, to actually prepare for a 30-minute interactive, because you need people. And so, I just sort of talk out loud as I walk my dogs and think of funny things to throw in there. And then I'm just praying and hoping it'll just all flow and come together, and we'll all have a great time.
Hey, I know a really good coach too. Well, actually, there's two really good coaches right up above you there. I'm not sure, but Kris Prochaska and Jackie Bailey are great speech coaches. Well, Rebecca, I wish you the best. And you know what? I just got to say, Rebecca's a really great photographer and videographer. And if you can convince her to move outside of Skagit, she might be somebody that you want to talk to. All righty then. What else do we have, Jackie? We have, our newsletter. People can sign up for our newsletter. Go to today's show page is at www.lifemasterradio.net. While you're there, you can sign up for our newsletter. Our newsletter goes out once a week, and it just highlights the guests that have been on the show and the guests that are coming on the show.
Give us a like on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. And what else my book is there. You could like my book. You can love my book and give me some feedback on Amazon.
How could they not love your book?
Exactly.
That
They could buy your book too.
they can buy my book. Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Buy my book, love it, and
Share it.
And then share it.
and then share it.
Share the link. Don't share
It
the
is a
book.
really cool. What else am I missing? Anything else, Jackie? I think that's pretty much it. We would like to know if there's some cool people out there that that you think would be a good fit for the show. Please let us know. I think right now the show's booked. We don't have that much trouble getting guests, but we would like to know about other people that are doing cool things in the world. That's what we want to do, and that's what we want to highlight. Speaking of people that do cool things in the world, our guest today is the amazing. I almost think that you want to be a magician, huh, Kris?
I am actually. I'm a master of illusion.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk more about that.
Yeah.
Because this is the amazing Kris Prochaska. Doesn't that have a nice ring to it? The amazing Kris Prochaska.
The best part about it, Todd, is you're like the only person in the whole world who can pronounce it and say it like it just flows off your tongue. Everybody's like, what is that? I'm like, it's just how it's spelled. You just say it the way it's spelled.
That's right.
Thank you.
No worries. Kris's 20 years combined years of experience as a therapist and business consultant help her laser right to the root of an issue and provide her clients effective and practical solutions. She's been described as an intuitive sharpshooter. Boy, you have so many metaphors. I just love this. Who knows exactly what an individual or company needs to eliminate and do more of in order to bring them into alignment for greater purpose, productivity, and profit. Kris's 2015 TED Talk has over 250,000 views. The principles of her talk on how to get your kids to listen and engage hold true in business as well. Kris is also a TEDx speaking coach and the author of Life Well Spoken, Free Your Inner Voice and Prosper. And that book, Kris, you wrote that book back in 2013.
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there another one inside you that's cooking?
There is. And I actually dreamt about it while I was writing that one. And it's kind of playing right on the periphery there. I'm letting it percolate until it's ready to come out. So you're kind of working with some new material is what I picked up on. I've reviewed your website. You know, it's this whole concept of, I wrote it down. Our design does us. And it's this whole concept of our human design, and maybe speak to that a little bit on how our design does us if we're not conscious of it. Is that right? You just want to dive right deep. You're like, let's just go in there. You're not like, there's no warm up. I'm kidding. I love it. That's perfect. Okay. So human design is a map of our energy. It's a map of how we think, how we process mental information, how we process our emotions. It's a map of our emotional intelligence. It's a map of how we do things in the world. And it really shows us what is this physical and energetic container or vehicle that our soul resides in.
Right.
So it is a map of how it works. It's like a blueprint of how our whole expression, how it is in the world. And every single design is different. So however many people there are in the world or ever have been in the world, that's how many designs there are.
Right.
So unlike any other sort of personality system or that, it's every single one is unique. And even that said, we can generalize about some things relative to the design. And so when I say that your design does you, it is, if we think about it, the intelligence of our design, of the energy that makes up our design. We're sort of a soul residing in it. We are in communion with this design at a soul level, but also in the human aspect of it. When we work with the design, well, it doesn't matter whether we're working with it and we're in alignment with it or not. It is moving about the world. We have reactions to things. We have ways of being in the world that are unique to our energy. We communicate energetically first and foremost. And our design shows us how we communicate to others and how others influence us energetically. And so when I say the design does us, it literally is a vehicle that when we are in flow with it, it will carry us to where we're supposed to be. It will bring us to the correct people, the correct experiences, things that are for us. Now, here's what's interesting. It takes some surrender to the design. And we live in a world that says, well, I'm not going to surrender to anything. Like we have to put our mind to it and make things happen. And we're the boss. We're the master of our domain, that type of thing. And I'm not saying that we don't have some of that, but it's really actually a surrender and working with the design, in harmony with the design, in service of the design. And when we get that, our life is in flow. It's a little bit different way of thinking about our personality, if you will. It's all in the energetics of it. And so we still have choice. Our design does not change throughout our life. We're born with the design, but our expression of the design can change. So we can live in the shadows and distractions of our design, the lower vibrational state of our design. That's where we're feeling frustrated, we're feeling angry, we're feeling bitter, feeling disillusioned about the world. Or we can live in the higher vibrational state of the design where we're expressing our gifts and we're expressing our true essence, the energy that is implicit and inherent in the design that's consistently flowing through the design.
Well, and I like to call that kind of, I do call it being in the groove, right?
Totally. Exactly.
And look at Rebecca laughing. She knows it's my favorite word, groovy.
Mm-hmm.
But that is being in the groove. And it's
yeah.
Kris, I guess the best way that I would have to describe it is being in control, but yet being out of control and allowing life to happen. So we got to get out of control,
Yes.
and yet still be aware that we have the ability to make choices, but yet these choices aren't from a reaction.
Right.
They're more from an intention.
An intention, yeah, and response. Like both, an intention, but also it's like a call and response type of thing. I do a lot of intuitive painting. It's been a big piece of my development for years. But what I notice is that when as I'm calling and the piece of art is I'm responding to it at an energetic level. I'm in a dialogue with it. I'm communing with it. I'm setting intention, but I'm also listening to the piece. And so I've been taking that and extrapolating that into life. How do we do that? And then how do we do that by design? What are the aspects of my design that I can rely on consistently to do that dance? You're going to have maybe a little bit different way. Jackie might have a little bit different way. Rebecca, perhaps, a little bit different. There'll be similarities across the board, but it's that ability to go, I know what I know, how I know, that I know, and all of that's in the design. This is, and it is something that we can reliably use to discern. Hey, that's something for me to respond to and give my energy to, or that's not for me. That's somebody else's desire. That's somebody else's thought. That's somebody else's dream. This is what I'm going to respond to. It's discernment.
Right. Jackie, Did I step on you a minute ago?
No, but I am interested in energy intelligence. So I feel like I need a little bit more description of what that means.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I was at an event about a month ago, and the guy was, who was leading it. We were talking, and I said, as a TEDx speaking coach, we just had our TEDx here in Bend at the end of March, and and there's a lot of activists who come on the stage, right? I mean, it's like you have an idea that you want to share. And so these are activists. They want to activate us. We want to activate their idea into the world. And the aha that I had as I was watching one of the speakers in particular is that her intention did not match the energy that she brought. And so she had this intention to enroll people in her idea, but the energy she brought was basically kind of punching the audience in the face energetically and then saying, see my point of view. And it was like, ew, and what happened is that, and I believe that there's no mistakes, right? So even though it went that way, it could have gone differently if she was aware of the energy that she was bringing. But, I had a whole reaction to it. I actually got something out of the talk, but what she wanted to share and what she shared energetically were very different.
Yeah.
And so what I got from that, and as I was talking to this guy, who was asking me questions, he said, well, what do you notice? And I said, energy activism is the first thing we have to understand. If we want to change people's minds, we have to speak to their hearts first. And that starts with the energy of the intention. Where is it coming from? The energy of the content, the energy of the way we share it, the delivery. But underneath all of it is energy. And so he was just reflecting back to me, and he goes, well, that sounds like you're talking about energy intelligence. And I went, oh my God, yes. That's it. I thought it was energy activism, and energy activism is underneath energy intelligence. And the way human design for me comes in is that because human design is a map of our energy, we can develop that energetic intelligence through our own unique way of experiencing energy. And but it really came from this talk and watching someone oh God, I mean, it was painful. It was really painful to watch because I was thinking.
So is there a sense of authenticity then? Is that another way to describe it? Is it perhaps she wasn't saying what was really authentically something she was feeling? Or?
No, because authenticity, she was completely authentic to what she was feeling. And there's nothing wrong with that. But authenticity, vulnerability can be manipulated. It can be unconscious. But when we get to the energetic signature of what we really want to express, there is a truth. It's a sound. It has a vibrational sound and or feeling as we, the audience, when we hear it, we're like, like we can receive it. It's like it's a full body experience. And what I noted, and it was like, wow, what is that? And so what I think is that she had this intention, but because she wasn't aware of where she is emotionally and how she could use those emotions, like she came from a very angry place, of course, and how to use that anger in a way to actually enroll people instead of push
Repel.
the very people, repel, yes, the very people that she wanted to enroll. And that's where so she was completely authentic. She was completely in alignment. However, the energy behind the message was incongruent with her intention.
Disconnected.
I keep thinking of the word intuition in relation to energy. Over the last few years, I've met a number of people, and I can think of two instances for both men, different places, and one of them I got to know. But the instant I met each of these men, I had this feeling, and I couldn't, it was just a feeling like this is not a safe person. My energy wants to be very far away from this person. And one of them actually joined one of my clubs. And fortunately, he's not coming anymore. And of course, I can't share that with anybody. All I can do is sort of protect myself, really, is what I felt like I needed to do, just to separate myself and have as few interactions with people like that as possible. But that's what I wonder, like, is that, am I triggering back to somebody who that person reminds me of? But I keep coming back to, it's this energy that I feel from that.
Yes.
It's really strong and really clear.
Exactly. And so, when we talk about intuition a lot, we hear, well, just trust your gut. In human design terms, only 70% of the population is designed to listen to their gut. And half of that 70% has to also wait for emotional clarity in their processing. The other 30% of the population listen to their intuition and their instinct in a different way. And so what energy intelligence is yes, it's intuition, but it's really our awareness of energy. I have a quick example. I was bringing in speakers for a networking event that I was the booking person, and
event planner. You were the
event.
event.
Thank you, God. Yeah, whatever that person is, and whatever that is. And two of my board members said, "You've got to bring this guy in. He's really great." And I was like, "Okay." And I got on the phone with him. I didn't check him out at all. I just got on the phone and I heard his voice, and immediately the hackles went back on my neck. And I had a visceral reaction.
Wow.
And here I was like, God, it's like a month out. I got to get somebody booked. They both, two women I trusted, they said he was great. Okay, great. And I'm listening to this guy, and I said something, and I felt his energy shift. And then he started to say things that, now this is all in retrospect, right? In retrospect, I'm going over the conversation, and I was like, oh, he's really trying to, show me that he's the right person to be here. Like, he was really kind of overselling himself a little bit. But I went, okay, fine. And I overrode that awareness. And about a week out from the event, and I know we're going to go to break here soon, but I'll hurry. A week out of the event, I get an email. We sent out, like, here's the guy. He's coming to speak, and he's going to talk to, this is a women's networking group, right?
Interesting.
Oh my God, this guy, I get this email from one of the members of the group. She says, "You can't have that guy there. He is a convicted child molester." I was like, "You are effing kidding me." And I look up, and there he is in shackles and an orange suit. And I call this guy up and I say, "I cannot have you speak to this group of women." He goes, "I know, I'm very sorry. Yes, it's true. Blah, blah, blah." And I thought to myself, we override our awareness. There was one word he said, I heard it. This is energy intelligence. It goes beyond even our intuition. And that's what I mean. Like, we communicate energetically first and foremost. And so if we just take out intuition, which can have charge around it, and just say, I'm aware of energy and what's in that field. But why we override that? I overrode it because I wanted to get stuff done, and I had to get this booked, and I just trusted people, and I didn't listen to myself. So when you said, I had this funny feeling, it's like, yeah, we call it the hibby of a jibbies with my kids. It's like, if you get the hibby of a jibby, like, it's all bets are off. You never have to explain yourself. You never have to justify it, qualify it, quantify it, or explain it. You just have to say, I have a bad feeling.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's energy intelligence. And it goes even more into how we communicate with one another, the conversations that we have between ourselves and our partners, our kids, and, the world and audience, and understanding the subtleties of those energetic dynamics. That's what I mean. I go right to the root of what's the energetic dynamic that's happening there, not just the words or body language.
So this type of energy then is used not only in your personal life, but there's a success that can come from it in business or in your career if you learn how to use it right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, it's already in you. That's why I say that, going back to your design does you, you're already expressing it. It's just, is it congruent or not? And after the break, I can give you an example of this congruence and the energy intelligence. And it's a very powerful example that is around a speaker and a politician, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, this might be a good place to take a break. So stay tuned. We've got more with Kris Prochaska and energy intelligence. I want to know so much more right after this.
So we're on a break right now. Can we talk while we're on?
You've listened to the shows on CTR, and perhaps you've found yourself thinking, maybe I should host my own show, but I don't know how. It's easier than you think. From the beginning, with private coaching sessions to your own live broadcasts, CTR Network will prepare you on every level to share your knowledge, expand your brand, and take your business to the next level. At CTR, we nurture your vision and make it a radio reality. Contact Cameron Steele at 425-221-3646 or Cameron at ctrnetwork.com and put your dream into motion today.
Welcome back to Life Mastery Radio. Boy, this is so weird because I'm used to taking a break and being able to talk to my co-hosts and guests, but we can't do that anymore, so I'm going to have to figure this out. We're moving right along. If you've just tuned in, our guest today is the amazing Kris Prochaska, and we've been talking about energy intelligence, and this is a whole new concept to me. Although, you know, Kris, I do understand it. I've been on the stage before, and, you know, my intention was to basically, and this sounds kind of crude, but my intention was to cram this information or cram this speech right down every audience member's throat. And I came out on stage. Jackie remembers this because she was there. And I came out on stage and I was just power on. And I was this was a speech contest, to tell you the truth. And this is how I'm going to describe it. Because of the feedback that I was getting from the audience, and it was out of resonance with what I was speaking, I completely locked up. I don't even think I could have told you my name. Forgot the speech, couldn't remember a word, didn't know where I was, didn't know who I was. I just stood there, totally blown away. And I ended up walking off the stage. And to me, what you were describing was exactly what I experienced. Yeah.
And I had this similar experience on the TEDx stage when I had to memorize the talk, and it's you know, you go out and it's a performance in a way, and I suck at memorizing things. And someone made a sound, you know, what you're talking about is an internal thing, and someone made a sound on the stage, and my whole talk like disappeared. It just disappeared. And I stood there and I paused, and I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, you know, like, come back. And then it dropped back in, and I kept talking. You can watch it. There's a point. People said later, oh, that was such a great pause. And I said, no, you don't understand. Like, I didn't do that for effect. But what I'm hearing you say is that there's the intention that you had, right, didn't match the call and response of the audience. And that energetic incongruence, when you felt it, you were like, now I'm lost. Like, I came out with this intention. Now what do I do? And that's a big piece of what I work on with my clients, because not everybody, we were talking about this before the break. I have this idea that I'm playing with, and it's really relative to human design and how people are defined in their design. Defined means it's colored in. And when you see a human design chart, you'll see it. There are pieces that are colored in. It looks like a circuit board. It is like a circuit board. There are things that are colored in, and those are turned on 24/7. And then there's aspects of the design that are white. They're not defined. They turn on and off depending on who we're with. And and so this sun speaker, you were going out there like a sun speaker, like you have a message. You're going to shine that message into the audience, right? But what happened is that if you're a moon speaker, I'm a little bit more of a moon speaker, we reflect, that wouldn't work for us. It would feel very weird because we are actually reflecting back and dialoguing with the audience. And sun speakers do this too, but it's this, there's a I don't want to say it's an interplay. It's like really being aware of the energy and what the audience is reflecting and the light they're shining on us, and then we're sharing our message that way. And it sounds like you just got in that place where you're like, I'm out. I'm just out. Is that right? Is that how you'd say it, Todd? Oh, you froze a little bit there.
I think he's frozen.
Froze.
Oh, you know, I'll share.
Just like
I'll
on
share
the
one.
stage. He was
Yes.
like, out of here. Oh, we lost him. We lost him all time.
Good illustration, Todd. That's
Yeah, exactly. I like how he's like, I'm just going to replay that, how the whole thing went. And then, yeah, he'll be back in a second. But,
Oh my gosh. I'll share one thing that happened last year, and it was totally unconscious, but it's something that I've been working on over the last 2 years, is to be more connected with the audience. So I was giving a speech last year, and someone in the audience sneezed, and without even thinking, I stopped and I said, bless you, and then just went right on with my speech. I didn't even think about it. But later on, when somebody was giving the evaluation, they're like, that was so amazing how you did that. You just stopped and looked at me, and then just went on. And 2 years ago, there's no way I would have ever been able to do that, because I memorized my speeches, and that was not part of the speech. I would have ignored it, or maybe been thrown off a little bit by it.
Right. Yeah. And I think the speaking that I'm doing with people and the coaching around that is really helping them to understand their design and kind of what kind of energetic speaker are they? Do they, for lack of a better way of saying it, channel more, just dropping in? Or are they a person who likes to have it very regimented, and that's how they practice, and that's how they deliver it? And there's no one is better than the other. But going back to Jackie's question earlier about authenticity, is that when we are congruent with our energy and the way we speak and the way we deliver things, people will receive it. So I'll give you a quick example that I mentioned before the break. Is I worked on a political campaign this last fall. I was working with a woman who is running for county commissioner here in Bend, and or Deschutes County, and she had never run before. She was it was really an uphill battle. She's running against a 2-time incumbent in a mostly conservative county, and so we're working together. And the first time I saw her, she, did a little talk in front of a group of women, and a couple men were there too. And she showed up, and she's a very beautiful woman, and she was very demure, and just kind of just demure would be the best way, almost apologetic in her energy. And I was sitting there and I'm watching, I'm like, something is not adding up. Like, it just intuitively, energetically, I was like, something's not adding up. So we meet, and I had looked at her design, and I said, you're pretty intuitive. You have a lot of energy there. She's like, oh, I'm not intuitive. I'm not, I don't really pay attention to any of that stuff. I was like, okay, well, can I just show you a few things in your design? Because I think what's happening is that you're not owning how much power you have. Because in her design, she has a lot of things colored in. She has a lot of energy that is coursing through her field all the time. And so I showed it to her, and she just looked at me, and her eyes got huge, and she started crying, and she said, oh my God, you're right. I have been shutting down my energy all my life, playing small, because people were intimidated, men and women intimidated by me. And I said, you got to knock that off, because here's what happens is if you go out there and you act like you're powerless, but we can perceive your power, there's an incongruence there. And when we sense incongruence, we don't trust it. And so what happens is that people won't trust you, and they haven't been trusting you, even though you haven't done anything wrong. They're not trusting you because you're not showing up energetically congruent. So all she did was she's like, all right. And she owned it, like right there. She killed every debate. She was amazing. I mean, just brought all her intelligence, all her intuition, all her ability to share her ideas. And people who were card-carrying Republicans were like, I'm voting for her. Wow. And it was amazing to watch. And all it was just getting her congruent with her true energy. That's the authenticity, right? You can't manipulate that. It is. And so it was really cool.
Kris,
was
is
really
that
cool.
the same as the real voice that you recently wrote about?
Yes.
That's what you're talking about?
It is, yeah. And going back to that whole sun speaker, moon speaker, what I wrote about in that article recently is I was talking about several different speakers who and comedians and politicians and people who make a living by speaking, and pointing out the difference between that sun speaker and moon speaker. He's back. He came back. Yay. But you're still muted.
Ah.
There you are.
Da, 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 da.
Da,
That
da,
was
da,
fun.
I thought you were just
Go.
exit stage left.
I was putting out so much energy that my computer locked up.
Yeah, you just were like, I'm out of here. Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. So yeah, so what I was talking about in that article is that the moon speakers, right? We can become the voice of the audience. And so the example that I wrote about in that article was Alexandria, I might say her name wrong, Ocasio-Cortez. Thank you. For some reason, you give me more than one name and I'm just like, I don't know, I can't do it. Anyway, but she, was really lambasted last month for her voice changing when she was talking to a Southern, predominantly African-American audience. And I thought, when I read that, I was like, I wonder if she's more of one of those moon speakers, right? Where we take in the voice of the audience and actually change the way we speak so that the audience, there's actually no so that, it happens. There's no manipulation there. It's just happening if we're not consciously aware of it, and start to speak with the voice that the collective energy is happening right there, right? So it's not conscious, and there's nothing that's being manipulated there. It's just happening. And that's what I mean by energy intelligence, is knowing that about ourselves and understanding our true, authentic, energetic voice, that when we hear it, it sounds true to us. Now, I want to share something really quick, going back to what Rebecca said earlier, and also to bring in this whole thing about congruence, is that you can have somebody who's lying out there, and they're completely congruent with it. So I had the opportunity of working with someone over the last couple of years who is a very powerful speaker and very congruent with what she's saying, but there's no reality that is attached to it. She can weave a tale and lie like I've never seen anything like it. Well, we've seen something like that, actually. We've seen it at the highest reaches of our politics, but very similar. The thing is that the reason why people believe this person is she's completely congruent with what she's saying, but there's always a tell. There's always a tell. And so again, energetically, that's what I was perceiving with that guy on the phone, what you perceived, Rebecca. I'm sure you, Jackie, and Todd have both also perceived that, where you're like, God, there's something, I know it sounds good, looks good on paper, but there's a tell there that's, not really working out. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I experienced that once in a surgical situation. I was a surgical assistant for many years, and we had a parent of a patient that three of us, the doctor and myself and another tech, felt really weird about. We felt there's something odd about this man, and even the way he interacted with his daughter, there was something weird about it. And a month or so later, some detectives showed up, and he was being investigated for murdering his wife the night before this happened. And we independently all knew there was something wrong, but there was no evidence of it, just that we felt weird about this man.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it's in the field.
Yeah.
There's there's tells in the field. There's an energetic, and we can perceive those things. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Something come to mind, Rebecca?
Well, I was just thinking about that person that I met 6 years ago at the gym, and instantly felt like, stay away from this person, trying to be chummy on the exercising machine next to me. And so I would avoid him, cut him off. Well, it turns out one of my very, very good friends is a close friend of his. So years later, we end up at this party together, and I'm thinking, maybe I was wrong. I mean, she's friends with him. He seems to be friends with all these people. Maybe I misread him. And less than a year later, he got kicked out of that gym after being there for 17 years for essentially sexual harassment.
Mm-hmm. 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 Well, this goes back to, sorry, Todd, this goes back to every one of us, and kind of in a way, our design is like, we're going to have our own history, right? We're going to have our own level of awareness of this energetic congruency. I mean, there's a lot of people that walk around, we say energy, and they're like, I turn my light on, I pay my bill. Like, okay. Anyway, moving on. I want to go over here and talk. So, and again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just, right? It's just, we're all talking about it in different ways. And some people are just really not aware of it. And each one of us has the capacity to develop this, and we all have our dynamics. So, we might have a dynamic with this person. There's soul level stuff. There's the energetics of our design that just doesn't jive. We meet people and we're like, I don't know what it is. I don't like that person. And it could be that perception that there's something, like they did something, or it's just not working, or it could just be your designs just don't jive. They don't. Right. You literally push each other's buttons, and there's nothing to work out, and there's nothing to process. And but it's all about that awareness and intelligence. And because we could spend a lot of time in story about why we feel the way we do. And a lot of the work that I do with my clients is just helping them to trust and discern, when are you in story and when are you in awareness, and what works for you, Well,
that would be my next question is, how Gail Larson, she wrote a book called Transformational Speaking, and she described what you were describing as speaking from that home place.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Kris, I guess what comes to my mind is how can we begin to develop this and work with it and get in tune with it so we can be in the groove?
Oh, that's a great question. I love that question. Well, number one, I love the human design system for it. I love it because it maps it out, and we can really, I can show people, like, here's when you're speaking from your true authentic voice, right, and here's when you're speaking from shadow. It's like it's kind of mechanical, right? And we can point that out, and there's no judgment, and you don't have to do years of therapy. There's not like, oh my God, whose voice am I using? It's really that. When I'm working with my clients, I hear it. I hear that. It's, we're talking, and it might be that they want to develop a program, or they want to develop a talk, or they want to build a business, and they're telling me, well, I really want to do this, but I don't think I can. And I'm like, well, you're designed to do that. So of course you can do that. But here's all the places where it's not yours. Like you're trying to be someone you're not. And I know that painfully, because I remember when I first started out in my business, I was like, well, I'll talk about these topics because those seem to be the topics that everybody wants to learn about, and they seem to be the topics that will make the most money. And so I did a lot of things in order to. I spoke from a place, so that I could get clients, so that I could make money, and it was like, that's what when I'm talking about when we're in shadow. It looks good. It makes sense. Like, of course, our intention when we're in business or to give a talk is to help people, or to motivate, or to inspire, or to guide, or support, or whatever the case, whatever word you want to use there, entertain. and transform. But if we are doing it with somebody else's voice or energy, we'll struggle. It's like you get so far and then you kind of like, oh, why am I doing
It's not
that?
natural. It's
not natural. Exactly. It's just not natural.
And you're talking about speaking from a stage, but this is really about life, and it's about mastering our life and showing up in life. And you almost want to say, like Jackie was talking about authentic, you almost want to say, you want to be authentic, but it's deeper than that. It's just, it's being you. And I think you speak to this with aligning with who you are and really, so maybe enlighten us. We only have about 4 minutes left. Oh my gosh, this hour. And of course I
went fast
for a little while. Woohoo, I had fun. But how is it that, there has to be some inside work?
Absolutely. And I just did this whole talk about our training on goal setting and using human design and really turning it inside out. We have all these goals. We want to get somewhere. We want to be happy. We put the goal outside ourselves and we try to get there. But when we turn it inside out and we realize that a goal is a place to come from rather than to get to, then our actions become aligned with that. And when we understand who we are, so they're an identity-driven goal versus this, like, I'm going to have this and this and this, like these outside parameters that will show up. I'm going to have, $100,000 a year in sales, and I'm going to have 10 clients. It's like, who do you need to be to create that?
Right.
You create it from there. And most people, when they come to me and we talk about that, they're like, they say, well, I don't know if I could do that. And I say, well, it is who you be. It's who you be. Your energy, your map, you're designed to do that. Yeah. So it's easier to be you than it is to be someone else. But we're so good at being someone else. That's why most people struggle.
Projection. Oh my gosh, ladies, we are so out of time. I do want to remind the listeners to go to lifemasteryradio.net. Kris is got a wonderful website. There's a link to her website. It's krisprochaska.com. You connect with her if you want to know more. And Kris, thank you so much for showing up and being you today.
Yeah, thank you for receiving me. I appreciate it. Super fun.
I hope you'd be open to coming back. Jackie and I just love to converse with you. And this hour just went so fast.
It went so fast. And I'd love to come back, spend time with you guys.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
Jackie, your energy is who you be.
My energy is who I be.
Your energy is who you be. Kris, your energy is who you be.
Absolutely. I think we need to have a song about that.
Okay.
Oh, don't say that. She'll start singing it.
When I go down south and I start talking like this, is that really me? Because that's really what I want to do.
Sometimes I talk like that too, girl.
Oh my gosh. Go for another hour. That's about all we have time for. Please, please choose to check out Kris Prochaska and really, really, please make it a groovy day. It's all about choice. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my